All right, so here is the Jacobson landing, right at the Jacobson Bridge. And depending on what I decide to do for my trip, this might be where I take out day 3. This is the middle takeout point. So, I mean, essentially, I'm either going to be coming by here early on Monday as I make my way south to Vernon Landing, which is about 16 river miles from here, or this is where I'll be taking out. And the difference in that is, I guess, a decision on whether I think that this river is going to open up all the way to Vernon Landing. If I don't, I'll have a short day tomorrow. I'll just go about 10 miles and then ultimately end up here on Monday afternoon, evening maybe. That'll be around 45 miles of paddling to get here. If I go to Vernon, that'll be another 16 miles, as I've mentioned, ending up at about 61 miles. No way of really knowing what I should do here. This river looks pretty locked up here, but you can see water flowing with the warm temps. 50 degrees tomorrow, 56 degrees on Sunday, 50 degrees on Monday. I have a feeling this is going to open up. Whether it opens up all the way to Vernon or not, I'm not really sure. I think it'll definitely open up to here, and that'll be my short option to go 45 miles and end up here. I guess we'll find out. All right, Junie and I are just pushing off this morning from the Prairie River hydro dam, and this is the start of the Prairie River. We're going to be following this down for the next 6 or 7 miles, and then ultimately ending up at a campsite about 10 miles from here. We're going to go on that 45-mile route from here to Jacobson. About 2.5 miles into our 3-day expedition, and one out of the two of us has to pee for sure. The other one doesn't speak English, so I'm not really sure. I was planning on stopping at this landing here, but it appears that Mother Nature says no. We got a little bit too much shore ice, about 60 feet of ice between me and that landing. So, I guess we're gonna keep going until we find a spot that makes a little more sense. We really haven't found any spots that don't have somewhat of ice, which I guess is probably going to be our biggest challenge on this chasing ice trip that we got going on here. we're going to be paddling, I believe, about 45 miles over the next 3 days. And the last 5 miles or so of that, maybe 8 miles, is still iced up, pretty solid. So we're counting on some melting happening over the next 2 days as we approach that area. And hopefully we can chase that ice south and make our way all the way to Jacobson. In the meantime, we'll be looking for a spot to pee. We are just getting pounded by wind coming up, I guess, down the Prairie River in this north to south section. All right, Junie, you're gonna take a quick break here. This looks like somebody's house, so we might get yelled at, but I want to get a life jacket on her for the rapids that's coming up. All right, we are moving up on some fast moving water. I've not scouted this section of the river, so we're gonna approach cautiously. June gets excited and wants to jump out of the canoe as we're canoeing down the river. It's kind of like having a 4-year-old in the canoe. The amount of waterfall on this river is insane. We've seen hundreds of ducks and dozens and dozens of geese. Ooh. I think I see the way I want to go, just straight ahead here. Face and the current behind us, we don't have much control here. We're gonna get out of the canoe and we are going to try to get this. No, I'd do that if the water was warm. I'm not gonna do it today. So, what are we doing here? Well, we just got done with our first and, if I'm not mistaken, only portage. I wasn't even sure if that was going to be a portage or not. But there's some rapids that converge kind of around an island, and ultimately had a little bit too much scariness to it to tackle in this nearly freezing water. Almost had the first casualty of the trip. Just dropped my hat in. I'm sure it will not be the last thing that hits the water without permission. But we're about 6 miles into a 10-mile day. It's gone from being cold and cloudy and windy to warm and sunny and windy. So we're looking forward to the last 4 miles. We're gonna take a break here in about a mile, hop out on a sandbar, and maybe have some lunch there, and then just keep going to our campsite. About a mile, we're gonna be getting from Prairie River into the Mississippi River. Alright, for lunch I just got some taco meat, about 1/3 of a pound, that I pre-cooked and pre-seasoned, so I'm just going to heat that up here on the stove and make a couple tacos, and then we'll get on our way. Junie and I just finished the Prairie River, the first 6.5 miles of our 45-mile trip complete. We are now on the mighty Mississippi River, where we will be for the next roughly 39 miles as we make our way to Jacobson. We are approaching home for the night. There's a marked campsite on the map here. I can see a sign as I'm pulling up to it. This is either Suture's campsite or Two Brothers campsite, depending on which map you look at. It looks like the landing might be fairly difficult with ice, but there might be a rock there for me to at least get off on. Our goal for the trip is to start up here at the beginning of Prairie River, make our way down the Prairie River, and continue all the way down to Jacobson. What we've done for progress today is started on the Prairie River at about 11 o'clock this morning, made our way down the Prairie River into about a 15-mile-an-hour wind. Cold and windy this morning. As we were getting close to the Mississippi, it started to get warmer. We are probably, we're right here at Schuler's campsite. I got some coyotes south of me, maybe half a mile, chirping, making every dog within earshot go crazy. Well, hopefully they leave us alone. Get you wrapped up. We'll get you keep you nice and warm. Junie and I are heading to bed. We'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, Juniper. All right, night one went well. It was certainly a little bit chilly. I think Juniper got a little cold. I got a little bit cold, but not too bad. I forgot Juniper's little jacket for her, which, I don't know, she's almost 1 year old, 27 degrees. I think she's fine without it, but I borrowed my 2 coats to her. She soaked one of them. The one I'm wearing is still dry. The other one will dry out today. I wanted to get going early this morning, but everything's a little bit damp, so I'm gonna let the sun come up, dry out the sleeping bag at least, and then we'll pack up and go. I'll get everything else packed up and just leave the sleeping bag out to dry until I pull away. But yeah, just breaking down camp. I think we're gonna skip breakfast this morning and maybe stop for breakfast along the way. What do you think? Yeah. I love you. Good morning. I love you. The plan will be to make our way down. We're just a couple miles from the Blackberry Bridge. I might get Katie to meet up with me there to get Juniper's jacket. And then we'll continue on all the way down to Blackberry campsite. I believe that's about, we'll call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11 miles. and that's where we're gonna have our lunch. We should go about 4 miles an hour, so we're gonna be there in about 3 hours. Get there about 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Maybe spend an hour there, and then ultimately end up at Swimming Bear campsite, which is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 miles. So another 3 hours. So we're gonna get into camp a little bit later than we did last night. I guess we're shooting for about 5 o'clock at Swimming Bear campsite, and that'll give us a nice easy paddle to Jacobson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-ish miles to Jacobson on Monday, assuming that we melt some ice today and yesterday. Come on, June. Nice bears at this, I can't say. Yeah. You got a bear-proof locker. Really staying in there. I got these farm fresh eggs. They're just a couple days old. Haven't been washed yet, so their natural coating is keeping them from perishing. Mostly don't have to worry about perishable food with these temperatures. There is our lunch. Maple sausage, 3 mushrooms, and a couple eggs. Alright, so it's about 4:30. We left our lunch spot about 2:50. Paddled for about an hour, 15 minutes, hour, 20 minutes or so. Just took about a 10-minute break. We've gone just about 6 miles. I think that we have 7 to go. So another hour and a half. Should be about 6 o'clock by the time that we pull in. Maybe another 2 hours, realistically. So 6:30. We'll have about an hour before the sun goes down. Not ideal, but it is what it is. There's a lot of state land between us and that campsite too if we decide we want to stop early, but I think we'll make it. Paddling's been pretty easy. We're making some good progress. Right, June? Huh? Come here. I think your head's in the way of the camera. Is that your close-up? This is just a beautiful section of the Mississippi River. Very, very few houses. All lowland, hardwoods. The waterfall just loved. But every time that there's a downed tree in the river, there's a bunch of ducks or geese that are on the back side of it, just taking a break. Letting the flow go around the tree and taking it easy. Well, we have arrived to our campsite. There's a sign that points to the right. It says campsite. And there's a picnic table up there. I can tell you one thing, I'm not climbing that bank, so I think our takeout is straight ahead here. I think this campsite looks just about perfect. Well, today we started at Suture's campsite. We made our way underneath the Blackberry Bridge all the way to the Blackberry campsite for the beautiful campsite. That was about 10.5 miles. And then we went about 13 miles more. All the way down to Swimming Bear campsite. Tomorrow we have about 13 miles down the river into Jacobson. As of a few days ago, ice was still covering the last 6 or 8 miles. So we're hoping that that's all melted with today's nice weather. All right. Well, Junie and I are heading off to bed. Night 2. We've got a 13-mile day 3 ahead of us. We're either going to make it all 13 miles or we're going to hit ice somewhere between mile 6 and mile 13.
Morning, Juniper. Good morning, Juniper. Good morning.
All right, I'm going down to get water. This is a very muddy landing, which is why I ended up with wet feet. So I got my dry boot on and a Croc and 4-wheel drive. We're gonna see if we can get our way down to a spot to get water without getting muddy. Blueberry, blackberry. Okay. Blueberry, blackberry, and banana nut. Those probably go well enough together. Yeah. camera. We are saying goodbye to our second campsite, heading off on day 3 of paddling. Day 1 we went 10.5 miles. Day 2 we went 23.5 miles. And today we are destined for 13 miles. There's a chance that we run into some ice around mile 6 to 10. And if so, we gotta turn around and head back to the county line landing. Excited to be back in the water. Some distance behind us. We're gonna stop for lunch at the county line landing, which I believe is not too far from us here. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4.5, 5 miles, something like that. Here we go. All right, so we are approaching the bend where there was ice just a couple days ago. When we get around this next bend, we'll figure out if there's been any melt. And if it looks like it's been melted for a while, then I think we're gonna be in good shape. This morning we started at Swimming Bear campsite, just about at mile 1,150, and we've made our way down the river past the county line landing. Right about here is where we marked ice just a few days ago. And there was definitely ice at the campsite where we're at now, Jacobson Campground. And that's where we're at right now. It's about 2:45. My dad's gonna pick me up in Jacobson at 5 o'clock, which is about an hour paddle from here. So I'll hang out here till just before 4, and I'll do my last 3.5 miles, and then we'll call it a day. I don't anticipate running into ice here in the last 3 miles. All right, we just got done with lunch. We're about 3 miles from our takeout point. We can't find my life jacket though. I stopped about a quarter mile before our lunch spot to get the drone up in the air, and I'm guessing it's on the shoreline up there. So backtracking just a little bit here, and then we'll be on our way. Well, my life jacket is not where I thought it would be. June and I stopped a couple miles before this to do some drone footage. I know I for sure took it off then, so I guess we're backtracking a couple more miles. Well, I realize I'm on this windy section of the river, and it might be quicker to walk. I'm on the left side of the river, and that's where my life jacket is. I can walk quicker, and it's a shorter distance. So it's about 3/4 of a mile by foot, 2 miles by river. I'm gonna take foot and huff and grab it and then be back. This backwater bog is just full of beautiful geese and ducks. Awesome. Mallards. Couple wood ducks on their tails. All right, we're getting kind of close. I think straight ahead, kind of through this rough patch of woods here that looks like a nightmare. I think it's right on that next bank. We've been going a little bit more than I figured, having to dodge around wetlands. Well, moment of truth. There it is. We've gone 1 mile by foot. We are back. That took 45 minutes from when we left to when we got back. A lot quicker on the way back once I knew where I was going. We'll get back in the water here, and I think we got probably another 4.5, 5 miles. All right, Junie and I are back on the river after our side quest to get the life jacket. Heading downstream about 3.5, 4 miles to go till Jacobson. Just about to run out of battery. So this might be me signing off for the trip. Fantastic trip. I guess you can't call it an expedition without a couple mile unplanned hike. So we'll see you next time.